you a lot of story if you know how to analyze them. Okay. Any questions that you may have? I'm sorry. Ooh. Yeah. So we have already told a story about the language ability of a particular student. And now we have used this kind of 9 indices to unpack the story about the language ability of a group of students or different groups of students altogether. Yeah. So this kind of thing I use in order to compare and contrast between the students and between different group of students, and also to construct some kind of overall picture as a student performance on a given test. Okay, so I think that is my enough. Okay, Mike, you want to say something?
I just may you repeat what kind of conclusion we can make about the previous example.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
I couldn't catch up.
yeah, so the conclusion here is that there is no significant difference between the two groups over here in terms of the test score. Yeah, so having that said, the new teaching method is not better than the conventional one.
So mainly we just can look and compare the different groups together. We cannot say that it's better, right?
Yeah, we cannot say that it's not better, it is better, because
Yeah.
there's no difference between the test score. Even the mean is a little bit higher, but the standard deviation is also higher. So this kind of higher mean score might be attributed or contributed by some strong student in the group, but it's not about the effect of the treatment. It's about the individual differences of the student. Some students in group A are very strong.
Okay. Yes, I got it. Thank you.
And that is the reason why they have a higher mark in the final test. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any other questions that you may have? Okay, so if you have no more questions, I will send you a file about giving comment, feedback, feed forward. Yeah, so this kind of paper is now under review. So can you please keep it secret? It's just for you to use. Second. Okay, score interpretation. Yeah. So that is going to be the ways that I would like you to spend some time to look at the ways that people carried out the writing conference and how they can use the test score to work with their student. And with that, I propose a procedure. So you can go from one step to another step to report the score to the student and at the same time try to make the score useful for their future learning. Okay, so this kind of article is written by me and is under review. So can you please keep it secret? And at the same time, you can have some time at home to study this kind of research over here, and especially about the 3-step writing conference in which I try to incorporate feedback, feed forward in order to scaffold the student engagement with the written corrective feedback. Because a very common story that you often observe on your side is that whenever you teach writing or speaking, you identify a lot of mistakes from the student writing and you give feedback on this kind of writing for several times, but right in the next performance of the student, they commit the same mistake. No matter how hard you try to correct all this kind of mistake, this kind of mistakes appears to be very stubborn and it's remained there for a long time. Why is that? Because of the student. Yeah, because the students are not engaged with this kind of feedback and they do not understand this kind of feedback. And that is the reason why I propose this kind of model over here, a speed test writing conference, in which I try to scaffold the student engagement with the feedback. And the research findings show that when the students are engaged with this kind of feedback, they can understand the feedback, they can correct their mistake, and in the future, they will not use this kind of they will not commit this kind of mistake again to the very large extent. Okay. That is all about the lesson today. The lesson today is just about, so on one hand is about how to interpret the scores. And the second one is about how to give the feedback, feed now and feed forward. And for the first half, I has already give you some kind of the way that you look at the score, analyze the score, and tell the story back to the student. And for the second half, I give you a reading material. So at home, you can have some time to look at it and to see how you can make the feedback work for your student. Because sometimes we spend a lot of time giving the feedback to the student writing, but it's not effective. And we need now to stop for a while and think what makes them ineffective and how we can make them actually effective and foster the learning for the student in the future. So do hope that in the future, they will not make the same mistake again. Okay, so that is for the lesson today. And now I would like you to go back to the final assignment of the whole course, because it's gonna be the final lesson already. Okay, so have you all received this one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in this kind of final assignment, you are required to write an evaluative essay. And what you are required to do, to be more specific, you are required to make some kind of evaluation on three things. The first one is about content validity. The second one is about scoring validity. And finally, it's about the authenticity of the above test. And I would like you to evaluate this one by answering the questions over here. Okay, so in order to answer the questions over here, you need to go back to the prompts that I have already given to you. So the first one here, you are put in some kind of situation in which, Hai Ha, yeah.
Yes, can you share the screen with us?
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, so what's wrong with my sharing all the time? Ooh. Yeah, so can you see it now?
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for reminding me, Hai Ha. Yeah, so in this kind of assignment, you are required to write an evaluative essay. And there are three things that you have to evaluate. The first one is about the content validity. The second one is about scoring validity. And the next one is about the authenticities of the above test. And in order to do so, you need to answer the questions that I have already specified here. So we have three questions for content validity. This kind of three questions are related to three main concepts that we have learned about content validity and constructability. The first one is about the relevance. The second one is about representativeness. And the final one is about the proportionality of some kind of coverage. In the scoring validity, I would like you to match the correlation between the marking rubric and the target content. And after that, I would like you to compare the consistency of the three raters here in terms of the rating outcomes. Yeah, to see whether they score the same, because when they score the same paper, whether they have the same outcome or not. And what might be the explanatory factors for the consistency among and between the three raters, or it's gonna be inconsistency between them. And the final one over here, this one is quite some kind of easy cake to eat. Yeah, about the authenticity of the given test task, whether the test task above reflect our writing practice in reality. And I would like you to bring the things that you have learned about the argument-based approach to test validation in order to make the claim, find out the relevant ground, and make the warrant. Okay. Okay, so how can you do this? So first one, you need to spend some time to identify the target contents from the given course objectives over here. Yeah, so what is the target contents? You have learned about it already. When you look at some kind of course objective over here, yeah, what might be the target contents? Yeah, for example, like the first one can produce a series of simple phrases or sentences about their family, living condition, yeah, so educational background and present or most recent job. Yeah, so what might be the target content over here? Target content means the target knowledge or skills that the student need to perform. It's gonna be some kind of underlining knowledge or skill that student need to perform. Yeah. Now, for example, in this one, what might be the target content? Yeah, what might be the target content?
They have to write paragraphs using just simple phrases and sentences about living condition or talking about employment.
Okay, so the target content, you are right. They can produce a series of phrases and sentences. It's going to be the target content. Yeah. And after that, you need to identify the genre. Where can you find the genre? Yeah, so what kind of genre is that? It's quite
living condition, educational background.
Genre here is going to be creative writing. Yeah, it's going to be creative writing. It's quite clear, right? And in this one, we do not have some kind of specific genre, but it's going to be creative writing. It's not about academic writing as something that you can see here, or it's not some kind of correspondence that you can see over here. Okay, not notes or messages or form. So the genres over here is about creative writing. What is the topic? What is the topic? Yes, the topic might be widely ranged from their family, their living condition, education background, or some kind of present or most recent job is about the topic. So that is the first thing that you need to do here. So you have to analyze one by one in order to identify for me. The first one is the target content. The second one is about the genre. The next one is the topic. And the final one is some kind of measurement condition if we have. Yeah. So what does this mean for measurement condition? Yeah. So here you can have some kind of measurement condition like simple. They can use some kind of simple connective. I'm sorry, I try to use another color. Oh yeah, it's another colors already. Yeah, so they can have some kind of, they can use some kind of basic and concrete vocabulary, simple phrases, sentences with simple connective like, yeah, so that is a measurement condition. So they don't have to make it perfect. If they can be able to use some kind of simple phrases and sentences, that is enough. They are not required, they don't have to write a beautiful paragraph. If they are able to write a beautiful paragraph, if they go beyond this kind of level already, it can be very good. But if any student who can use some kind of simple phrases, they just write a no sentences at all, or there's no link between this kind of sentences, that is enough. Yeah, so it's about the measurement condition. So the first thing I would like you to do is that you have to first focus on the course objective, and for that you identify the target content, the genre, the topic, the measurement condition. Why do we need to do so? Because if you want to build up, if you want to evaluate the content validity, we have to compare this kind of target content, genre, purpose, and measurement condition with the task. Yeah. After that, we go down here is the task below. Okay. So now, for example, the task number 1 here. What kind of target content is it? What are the student required to do? Write an email, right? So as it required to produce some kind of simple and phrases and sentence.
Yes.
Yes, of course, because this one is more challenging. Okay, good one. So it match because in the previous one, they are required to produce some kind of writing, even the sentences, even the phrases or paragraph or some kind of passages. And now the task also required them to write an email. And when they are required to write an email, of course, they have to produce some kind of sentences and phrases. Okay, now what kind of genre is that? What kind of genre is that?
Ask for information.
Genre here is going to be an email, right? Email here belong to what? Among the 4 things that I have here, where correspondence. Yeah, so correspondent. Okay, so relevant, because the task actually requires a student to do. That's the test aim to measure. Yeah, so content validity is going to evaluate the extent to which the test that actually measures what they intend to measure and nothing else. And here, they require the student to produce some kind of sentences and phrases. And of course, in this kind of task, they actually ask them to do so. And here, in terms of genre, they are required to produce some kind of correspondences writing. And here, they write email, so they are relevant. Yeah. So the test tag relevant to the target content. And what about the topic? What about the topic? Here we can have some kind of routine nature. Yeah. So expressing thanks and apology.
Buying clothes.
Yeah. So is this about the routine nature?
Yes.
Yeah, it's something very familiar. So in terms of topic, it's also relevant as well. Okay, so that is a way that, okay, the claims that you make here is that, so the test tasks are relevant to the target content. Yeah, so that is the first question over here. To what extent the test tag relevant to the target content described in the course goal, including the writing genre, topics, and other discrete feature? Yeah, as a discrete feature here related to the measurement condition. And if you make a claim that the test tasks are relevant to the target content, you have to show that the target content in the test task is relevant to the target content in the course goal. The writing genre in the test task is relevant to the the genre in the course goal. The writing topic in the test task is also relevant to the topic in the course goal, and other measurement condition also match. So by bringing this kind of evidence in, you can justify the claims that you have. And in order to do so, you have to make some kind of warrant line. Okay, when we can ensure the correspondence between the target contents of the test task and the target content of the measurement purpose, we can ensure the construct validity or the content validities of the test. Yes, that is the warrant. Okay, and you do the same for the other one. Yes, the relevant is quite clear. And another one is about the representativeness. What does this mean for representativeness? Okay, so can you please read the questions over here? If the test that failed to cover all the target content stated in the course goal, to what extent are the test tasks representative of the target contents over here? Okay, so now you're going to see that in the course goal, we have 4 genres thrown together: creative writing, reports and essay, correspondences, notes and matrices, and other forms. But in the actual test, we have only 2 tasks. Yeah, the first one is write an email, and the second one, write a story. Yeah, so write an email is gonna be here for correspondent. Where can you find the evidence for writing a story? What story might belong to? Where or what genre that story might belong to?
Creative writing.
Yeah, creative writing. Okay, so here the text designer cannot try to include the reports and essay. They cannot try to include this kind of note and messages. But as the evidence from the story and the evidence from the email can be representative for report and essay and representative for notes and messages, it's gonna be the thing that you have to make a claim and find the evidence for this. Let me give you one example. What is the story about? What is the story about? Yeah, so task number 2 is over here. What is the story about? Yeah.
Renting
So-
a bike to save time.
Yeah, might be. Yeah, renting a bike to save time. And in order to do so, can students explain their opinion and impression?
Yes, I think so. Maybe
Yeah,
they
right.
can, they can
Yeah.
tell a story and state their opinions about how, riding a bike can save a lot of time rather than using,
Very good.
the metro and stuff. But I think that
Yeah.
probably this tag may require some sort of like high level words.
Okay, so here
Yeah.
we will talk about some kind of other things, but here, at least in terms of tacit content, writing a story can be a representative for this kind of competences over here. Yeah. And it's also some kind of simple text on familiar subject or of interest line. And this one, it can be also representative for this one. So by using some kind of story, you can cover the first genre, and you can also use the evidence from this kind of writing to make inference for this one. So that is enough. That is about this one. And some people can say that, okay, you cannot make this kind of representative for the other genre. So you can find the evidence for this, because here the question is, to what extent are the text as representative of the tacit contents in the course goal? And if you say no, the writing a story cannot be a representative for some kind of essay writing, yeah, so you can find the evidence for this. Yeah, so it depends on the ways that you construct the claim, the way that you find the evidence to justify your claim. Here, it's only about the ways that you persuade other people about the validities of the test based on the evidence that you have and the plausibility of the claims that you have. Because in the morning section, we have learned about this kind of argument-based validation already. Okay, and the final one is quite easy. It's just a piece of the cake. Yeah, so the final one is just about the number over here. Here we have 2 tasks. First one account for 30% of the final outcome. And the second task account for 70% of the final outcome. And here you have to consider this one. You have to consider this one. In this kind of genre, you also have some kind of degree of emphasis that the teacher already allocated for each genre. For example, in terms of creative writing, she allocated 30% of her emphasis on this. And in terms of correspondence, also 30%. What we can make a conclusion about this one? Are they equally important? Yeah, in the course, are they equally important? Creative writing and correspondence?
Yes.
I think yes.
Yes, but actually, when it's come to the test here, the corresponding, account for 30%, but the description, the story over here, account for 70%. As there's a nice match between the proportion, of the score weight to the emphasis level in the course. Yeah, so you can make the claim over here. You can say that, okay, the score weight in the test is proportional to the emphasis level in the writing course, and you need to bring out the evidence. Or if you say that it's not proportional, what kind of evidence that you have to bring out and justify? Okay, so that is all about the content validity. So content validity is about the relevance of the testing content to the underlying constructs that you claim. So the representative of the test content to something that you cannot include in the test. Yeah, so for example, here we have only 2 tasks. And of course, we cannot add more tasks into the writing test, otherwise it's going to be too long for the student. So because you cannot include all the genre into the task, so the task that you select must be representative for the task that you cannot include in the test. Okay, and the final one is about the score weight. The proportion of score weight and the proportion of emphasis content must be equal. And now, whether they are equal in this case or not, you have to make the claim, and after that, you have to bring up the evidence to justify the claim. And you do the same for the question number 4 over here. Yes, so question number 4, you have to fasten your focus over here. Yeah, so the claims that you have to make is that the marking rubric is relevant to the target contents described in the course goal. And for example, here, they say that the text is connected coherently using basic linking words and limited number of cohesive devices. Yeah, so the highest levels of performance just requires a student to use some kind of basic linking word and limited number of cohesive devices. And now we go to the things that we have over here, like simple text based on familiar subject, linking the sentence use some kind of connector like and, because, and then. Are there some kind of basic linking devices? If you say yes, yeah. If you say yes, so you have evidence for this. Okay, so you try to compare the description over here with the target contents over here. If they are nicely matched, we say that the marking rubrics is nicely relevant to the target contents in the course goal. And for the extent of the scoring outcome across and between the 3 raters over here, this one is quite easy. How can you do that? Yeah, how can you do that? Have you ever tried to use the Excel for correlation test? Have you run any kind of correlation test before?
I think we haven't got a chance.
Okay, so here, the thing that you need to do is just quite simple. You copy the test score of the 3 raters into the Excel file. Hang on a second, I am going to open an Excel file. Can you see it here on the Excel file?
No.
Not yet, teacher.
You need to share the screen first.
Okay.
I think that you can use culture and choose many screens at the same time. So
I did it in the morning section, but still, it just shows the thing that I'm working on in the previous section. Okay, so here we have the rater number 1. Yeah, number 1, the rater number 2, the rater number 3. Okay, so now can you give me some examples of the score for the rater? Yeah, so rater 1 is gonna be Zoom, and Zoom score may be 5 papers altogether. Yeah, can you give your score random out of 10?
7.
7.
5.
5. Anything?
8.
8.
5.
5.
and 6.
6. Okay. And yeah, so what now you place a row of rater number 2 and you have different kind of score over here.
Still me?
Yeah, yeah, for example, like this one.
Okay, 6.
Okay, 6.
5.
5.
6 and
7. Another one, I will do it for you. So 9, 7, 9, 4, 3, and 4. And now we need to do, what we need to do is that we have to see whether the 3 raters over here come out with the same result. If you look at this one over here, you cannot know whether they have the same results or not. You go into the data and you go into the data's analysis. Yeah. And in the data analysis, it's turned out this kind of windows over here. In this kind of window, you have different kind of formula or different kind of programs for data analysis, and you try to find the correlation. Yeah, so you click at correlation and click OK, and it turned out to this one, and you just use this kind of mouse to collect all the data that you have here. And because I have a label in the first row, so I tick it one. And now I click OK. Yeah, so here is going to be the correlation. Here is going to be the correlation score. And correlation score, correlation score tell you about how consistent the score from one rater to another. Okay, so the correlation score will go from -1 to +1. I'm sorry, -1 and +1. Yeah, so it's go all the way from -1 to +1. For example, here we have -0.56, and here we have 0.72, and here we have 0.76 minus. Yeah, so from -1 to 0, we have some kind of negative correlation. What does this mean for negative correlation? Sorry. Yeah, if the score go from -1 to 0, we have if you go from -1 to 0, we have negative correlation. What does this mean? Yeah, what is that? Yeah, if we have some kind of negatives in front of it, it's going to be the negative correlation. It means that when one score goes up, the other goes down. Do we have some kind of consistency here? Do we have the consistency here? In this case, when we have some kind of negative correlation? No, yeah, you're right, Hồng Nhung. Okay, so for example, here, the rater 1 and the rater 2 have the negative correlation. So it means that when the rater tend to give a higher mark to a paper, the rater 2 try to give a lower mark, or vice versa. The same holds true for the rater number 2 and the rater number 3. Okay, what about the rater number 1 and the rater number 3 over here? They have the positive correlation. Yeah, so they have the positive correlation. So when the rater 1 tend to give a high mark to a paper, rater 3 also tend to give a high mark to that paper, or vice versa. When the rater 1 tend to give a poor mark on a paper, rater 3 also give a poor mark for this paper. Okay, so we can have some kind of consistency between the return number 1 and the return number 3, but not between the return 1 and return number 2 and between the return 2 and the return number 3. Okay, so what conclusion we can make from this? Yeah, what conclusion we can make from this? Yeah, I has already bring up the document about the final assignment. Yes, the conclusion that we can make from this one is that, okay, there's some kind of inconsistency, right? And now you have to do the same with the 3 returns over here, in the same spreadsheet over here, Excel sheet over here, and you have to bring out the evidence for this. Okay, and that is about the question number 5. What might be a count thing for this kind of inconsistency? Can you guess? It's going to be the warrants that you have to make over here. Yeah, for example, in the previous example, we have some kind of inconsistency. And in order to explain for the inconsistency, you have to look back at the marking rubric, whether the marking rubric is clear enough, especially the boundary between every single level. If we look at this kind of marking rubric, and you can have different kind of interpretation. For example, you read and you understand in this way, and another teacher reads the same marking rubric and they interpret in another way. Okay, so the different kind of interpretation of the same marking rubric might account for the inconsistency in the measurement outcome. Okay, and the final one, this one is quite easy. If you want to look at the authenticity of the test pass, just look at the test pass over here and ask yourself the question whether in the real life, should we do the same thing? Yeah, in what way in the real life we do the same way, and in what way in the real life we cannot do the same thing. And from that, you can make the claim over here. So the claim is that the test task reflects the way that we write in the reality. So that is the claim. And with that claim, what kind of evidence that you can see over here? So you compare this kind of test task with the real life task. And from that, you can make some kind of warrant. If the students are required to do the tasks that resemble what they would do in the future, so there is a very high chance for them to make a very good prediction from the test score. So if they perform very well in the test, they are likely to perform very well in the real life because there is a very nice correspondence between the test task and what we are supposed to do in the real life. Okay, so that is what we are going to do with this kind of one over here. I has already spoon feed you with different kind of procedure, how to make the claim, how to find out the evidence, how to use a warrant to justify the suitability of the evidence for the above claim. So altogether, you are required to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 claims. And from that, you have to bring up some kind of relevant evidence and try to make some kind of warrant to the evidence as well. Okay, and here in the marking rubric, I am going to use this kind of marking rubric here to score your paper. And in this kind of marking rubric, I have 5 criteria altogether. The first one is to measure your understanding of the relevant concept in the fields of language testing and assessment. For example, whether you understand the concept of content validity, whether you understand the concept of authenticity. So if you are able to demonstrate a precise understanding of more than 75% of the relevant concept, so you can get 9 or 10 points for the marking criterion. Okay, so for every single marking criterion, I have 2 parts. The first one, for example, precise over here, is related to the quality data. And for something that you can see in percentage over here, it's going to be the quantitative data. So for every single marking criterion, I have a combination of qualitative and quantitative evidence. And the same holds true for the other one over here. And for the second one, you need to demonstrate the sufficient understanding of principle in the fields of language testing and assessment. Yeah, for example, one principle that you have to make is that the test task must replicate the authentic task that we often do in the real life. And why is that? You have to explain it out. And it's going to be a nice warrant that you need to make in the final claim. And if you are able to demonstrate some kind of precise understanding of the underlying principle about the task authenticity, or to be more precise, the authenticities of the given test task, if we are able to spell out the principle in the correct manner, you can get the full mark for this. Yeah, the claim over here. Yeah, so based on the evidence that you have from the analysis of the test task over here, you need to build up at least 7 claims to answer the 7 questions over here. So when I look at your claims, I see whether the claims are plausible from the given data. Yeah, and if it's plausible for most of the cases. So for example, here, 75% of the 7 claims is about more than 5. Yeah, so it's going to be, you are going to get 7 to 30 points altogether. Yeah, it's not about the claim itself, it's about the evidence that you need to bring in order to justify the above claim. And if you can provide relevant evidence, so you can get another 30 points for this. So sometimes the link between the evidence and the claim is going to be quite far. So you need to make some warrant in. You have to bring in the relevant warrant to spell out the assumptions that link this kind of evidence back to the claim. Okay, so here, by counting the number of score on points that you have for 5 criteria altogether, you can have the total score. And after that, I give some kind of details command. Yeah. I do hope that I have already made it clear to you about the requirements of the final assignment, the purposes, the procedure, and also the ways that I am going to score your final outcome. Any questions that you may have? Hello?
I asked it just to be sure, but we will use this kind of test, right? And we don't find another test.
Yes, you use the same thing. Everything is here already. Yeah, the test purpose, the test objective, the test task is here. The marking rubric is here. The score from the rater is here. So everything is here. So you don't have to refer to other resources in terms of the test, but you might refer to other resources in order to make some kind of claim, some kind of understanding about the key concept and underlying principle. But it's not about the test prompt. On the prompt for the test is here already. And you must use this kind of test. Okay.
Excuse me, I wonder about the number of words we are going to do. Okay.
Yeah, the numbers of words is going to be here, no more than 1,000 words. Okay, so you write an evaluative essay of no more than 1,000 words. And because you just make the claim, and after that you bring out the evidence, and we have 7 of them all together. So I think that for every single claim, you just need 1 paragraph. It's just about 150 words altogether. Yeah, for every questions over here, you just need 1 paragraph. So the paragraph start with the claim in the topic sentence, and after that you have some kind of evidence followed by, and the final one is going to be the warrant that links the evidence back to the claim. Yeah, so that is enough. I think that is enough. You shouldn't write more, because this kind of assessment practice require you to do individually. So if I have to score maybe 50 or 50 papers altogether, it's going to be very time consuming, and it's very label and energy consuming as well. Okay.
Do we have to like mark the 1, 2, 3 before we answer the questions, or we just like write a
No.
paragraph?
Yeah, you just describe it in the paragraph, or if you want to make it clear, you can mark it 1, 2, 3. I don't care about it. Yeah, you are free about the writing format. Yeah, you can write it in some kind of essay form, in some kind of bullet point, some kind of table, whatever. Yeah, so even some kind of fragmented sentences, some kind of bullet point, I do not care. I just care about the content. I do not care about the writing style. Yeah. So you can present the outcome of this kind of analysis in several ways. You can present it in some kind of essay writing form, or in some kind of bullet points, or some kind of table, yeah, whatever, yes, the ways that you like. But regardless of the writing format, the word count should not go more than 1,000 words altogether, except for some kind of references. And the small thing that you need to bear in mind now is that I do not need to have some kind of introduction or conclusion. I just need to have the claim, evidence, and warrant. That is all what I need. You don't have to open the essay by a long paragraph to introduce the purpose of this writing and the conclusion to sum up everything that you have. No, it's not something I'm looking for. Yeah, you just try to analyze the task, give some kind of claim, justifies the claim with relevant evidence and warrants. That is enough. Okay. Try to be concise. Yeah, keep it short and simple.
Hi, I have a question about the due date.
The due date is gonna be the due date is gonna be the 27th of June. The due date is 27th of June. So you have 2 weeks in advance.
Is it possible that you can extend another week? Because because here we have simultaneously like 3 courses, so 3 papers to be finished, and then I personally have like 5 courses in a row. So is it can you make it until the end of this month, or can you give us 1 more week?
1 week and this month say it's for the they are roughly the same, but actually I can give you by the end of this month instead. Yeah, so you are going to submit this paper by 30th of June. Yeah, so it's gonna be yeah, so 30th.
So how can we submit? But we can submit it for the monitor, or
yes, the monitor. Yes. Hun, can you please do me a favor again by collecting different kind of individual papers on your side and zip them into one folder, and after that, can you give it back to me? Yeah, you can put it in some kind of Google Drive, and with that, I can return this kind of comment back immediately to your Google Drive. Yeah. I can give you the score together with comments, overall comment in the same Google Drive. Yeah, Hun, you can open some kind of Google Drive folder and you give the access to all members in our group, including me. Every people submit their paper there, and I can submit my score together with the comments there as well. Yes.
Is it possible that we do this like assignment in pairs, or is it a must that we must like get it done individually?
I think that it's going to be better for you to have some kind of individual work, because we have the group work for the midterm assessment already.
Right, I see.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the fact that we have to convert face-to-face to online mode of delivery, I have already spoon-feed you with the way that you are going to carry out this kind of assignment. And I think that you are all able to get it done in a very acceptable level. So don't be afraid. And given the fact that you have received a very high mark for the midterm test, and I do not think that you can get it bad here in the second assignment, and as well as the final outcome. I hear somebody try to raise your voice.
We just want to say thank you for how you have been so enthusiastic about this.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so if you have no more questions related to this assignment as well as the whole course, so thank you for being very helpful, very cooperative with me during the course. I do not think that it's going to be flying so the time is flying so fast. And now we come to the final lesson already. Okay, so all the best for your upcoming future, and especially for the upcoming examination assignment completion. Okay, see you around sometime, somewhere when our paths cross.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, teacher. Have a nice summer.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the whole course.
Goodbye, teacher.
Goodbye.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Teacher.
Okay, see ya.
Thank you.
See ya.
Please have a nice day.
You too.